Okay, and just like that, we are back at the end of row 1, and I am just finishing up my last 2 stitches. I wanted to show you all, just like on the beginning, I'm kind of having to hold my bamboo on my wrist to be able to get right into those stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and, let me just look and find that bottom. Okay, there we go. There's the little hump on the spine. And like I said before, I'm kind of having to go back to when I first started learning how to crochet, and I would find my chain stitches by looking at the spine or the little hump part of the chain stitch. Uh-oh, I think I'm about to split my yarn there. Okay, no, there we go. We got it in. And so this is my last stitch right here. And again, I was using my, and I'm sorry for bringing it so close to the camera, but I want you to be able to see. I'm using my fingers to sort of find where the spine part is. Okay, so you can see that you're going to have a little spot there, but that is not a stitch, so just ignore that. And we're going to finish out by doing what we've been doing before, which is we're going to slip stitch around this this bamboo. Okay, now you see I'm being very careful to go forward and not backwards. You don't want to cross where you started over here. Okay, remember you want to go kind of forward on the bamboo. Okay, all right, so there we go. So I did 2 little slip stitches to put that on there, and again it's loose but not too loose, and we're going to go ahead and turn and start row 2. Row 2 is going to be another set of 80 single crochets, and that's actually going to be row 2, row 3, and row 4 are just 80 single crochets straight across, just the way we've been doing it. You'll just put your hook in after doing your slip stitches onto the bamboo and do your 80 single crochets across. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and I will meet you back on row 5. All right, so remember that's 80 single crochets for row 2, row 3, row 4, and then I will meet you back here on row 5. Oh, I almost forgot, here on row 2, be sure to, oops, I flipped my bamboo there because I pulled my tail. Be sure to put your stitch marker in, okay? Remember, stitch marker goes on this side when we start on row 2, because row 2 is when we have the wrong side facing us. So I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker in here, which will be helpful later on as we begin to add and drop colors to make the continent of Africa shape really come to life. All right, so again, remember 80 single crochets across rows 2, 3, and 4, and I will meet you back here when we start row 5. See you in a bit. Okay, and I am back now. I've completed my 4 rows, and I'm on my 5th row, and I'm on my 12th stitch. So I know from the pattern that at stitch number 15, we're going to, or 14, we're going to drop the blue and pick up our black. So what I'm going to do, this is 12, and then this is 13, and then here's stitch number 14. For this single crochet, I'm going to insert the hook, and then instead of pulling through the blue, well, actually I'm going to pull the blue, yarn over and pull the blue through to almost finish my single crochet, but instead of completely finishing the stitch, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to pick up my bobbin of black, and I'm going to bring in my black. I'm putting a little slip knot in it. I know black is so hard to see, I'm sorry. But here we go. So I went ahead and made my slip knot, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out that 14th stitch by pulling through the black to make that color change. Now again, remember, I have my little friendly stitch marker back here to tell me that the back side of my work in this scenario is going to be the wrong side. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my tail yarn and my working yarn for my blue to the wrong side. I'm picking up my working yarn of my black, and I'm going to go ahead and make 3 black stitches. Now don't worry, you'll have an opportunity to tighten everything down before it's all locked in place. So I'm going to go ahead and, you see how it's kind of a little bit bigger than what I want. So I'm just going to kind of tighten down my my loops there. There we go, okay? And then 1, 2. Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. That would be my cat Daisy, who has a cat bed on my workshop table where I do my videos. So I apologize for her cameo, but it's real life. So hey, no worries. Okay, now you know I'm a real person with real life. All right, so we've got our 3 stitches for our black color change, and so then we would go ahead and add on another bobbin of blue and continue on with the pattern details, which I think are another 63. Yep, 63 blue single crochet. So you see, you would just add on your blue. You want to make sure to pull it through that last stitch of black there. So you see how I just pulled that last half of the stitch out. I'm going to make my slip knot here and then pull in, tighten my loop down a little. There we go. Pull through, and then we would make our other 63 single crochets on this way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend like I have actually completed that and turn my work and start working back the other way, just because I want to show you what to do if you need to pull a stitch over a few or pull a stitch back a few, because there are a couple spots in here where you might have to make some leaps in the stitches and like skip up 3 or 4 stitches to get to a color change or something similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm turning my work, and now the wrong side of the work is facing us, which is why all the tails and everything are towards us. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what would happen if I needed to start that black right here. So I'd have to reach it over these two blue stitches right here. Okay, so this is just make-believe right now, just so I can show you the concept of the technique. Sorry, let me give myself some more working yarn over here. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I've got a little bit more working yarn. Okay, and so what you want to do, if we had to imagine that we're putting that black stitch right here, then what you're going to want to do is with your black working yarn, which is this strand right here, well, before I even do that, let me chain up and get my blue stitch to where I need. So I'm just going to chain up 1, which we don't really do in this project, but I'm just bringing that up so that this stitch is at the height I need it to be. All right, and we're pretending like we're putting that black stitch in. We'll do one more. We're going to pretend like we're bringing that black stitch across those 2 right there. So what you do is you take your black working yarn and you're going to pull it through just like you would any other time. The only thing I do different when I have to go across a bunch of other color stitches is that I sort of like give it a little bit of extra slack. So see how this is a little bit looser? And what I'm going to do is, normally I would put my blue working yarn to the front, but I put it to the back just so it was out of the way for this demonstration. But normally you would move it to the front because that's where we have all of our tails going. But you see how like this this is really loose and it's crossing the 2 stitches. Then what I do to secure it in is that I actually go ahead and would do my single crochets over that little bit of black to kind of tuck it in. So see right there? And now it looks like it's like part of the stitches, and then you would just keep going. And so that's if you had to add some color across. And you do a similar technique if you needed to take it away. You would just do the other color underneath. So if I had to take it away, so let me show you what that looks like. And what I mean there is that means if the blue had to go further over the black, I would do a similar technique, only I would just carry my black with me. So imagine that we had to put our blue all the way to this stitch right here. Then we'd have to carry the black over those 2 stitches. So I would just make my single crochet, make my other single crochet there. 1 more and 1 more. Only now I'm going to pick up that black with me and carry it along with me to the spot that I need it to go to. So see, I'm going to carry my black with me. And then let's say I needed that black for the next stitch. Then what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull my working yarn through, and then I would put my black into that stitch right there. So see, there you go. So that's how you would carry it over if you have to go over a few stitches. So I showed you what you had to do if you had to reach the black a couple of stitches or if you had to carry the black a couple of stitches. And that works for any of the colors that you're going to do throughout this pattern. Now the one thing I don't want you to do through this pattern is I don't want you to carry the yarn all the way back and forth. It really does muddle up the shadow of the crispness of the colors. And so for this Homeland project and the Homeland wall art project, please be sure not to carry your yarn under the continent of Africa. It's really, really important just for the overall aesthetic and look that I'm going for the design. All right, so I hope this was helpful to you and is going to help you through the color changes. Please follow along on the pattern as you're dropping and picking up your colors. Remember, you always want to drop and pick up with the wrong side, no matter whether the wrong side is facing you or is away from you. That's why we put the stitch marker on this side so that we know where you need to drop and pick up colors. And then, as always, if you have any questions about the pattern, you see any areas that need corrections, or you just want to give me a shout out, please be sure to tag me in your social media pages, on your post, on your pictures as you upload and share. Just make sure to tag Treasure Coast Crochet. We are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and obviously we're on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll be able to find out when I have new content coming out or new patterns coming out. And as always, I just want you to remember to be creative, crochet often, and use lots of colors. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you on our next pattern.